Niners fans and Packers fans, it's about that time. Faithful Niner Empire. What's good? You know who it is. It's your boy, Jay in the Bay. We've got a special show tonight for all the best fans in the NFL, the faithful, the Niner Empire. Shout out to the Packers fans who are in the chat. Thank you for joining the show tonight. And we've got a special show. I have a guest with me today who knows, who eats, lives, breathes everything Green Bay Packers, actually Wisconsin sports, and we'll get into that in a second. But man, thank you guys for coming on to the stream tonight. Shout out to everyone watching Jay in the Bay Facebook, Jay in the Bay YouTube, and Jay in the Bay Twitter. Hopefully everyone is having a fantastic week. And we are one more day. Actually, we're on West Coast time. We're about 4 hours from a payday Friday. It ain't nothing better than a payday Friday. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But let's welcome in our guest. He has his own YouTube channel. He talks about a variety of sports on that YouTube channel. Let's welcome in Paul. What's good? How you doing?
I'm fantastic, Jay, and I just want to say I appreciate you having me on. I'm excited to talk Packers 49ers.
Hey, absolutely, man. Thank you for coming on. Like I said before, it's going to be an exciting weekend. It's NFC divisional playoffs. And I got to be honest with you, as a 49er fan, I did not think we would be here earlier on in the season. My faith was definitely tested when we were on that 4-game losing streak. But hey, I'm glad we're here now. And what's better? Freezing temperatures at Lambeau Field. I mean, what could be better? Man, but for the people out there that don't know you, Paul, let them know what they can expect from your YouTube channel and let them know what other social media platforms you have.
Yeah, absolutely. So I do a lot of writing on the Packers over at Dairyland Express. We write on the Packers, Brewers, Bucks, Badgers, the 4 big Wisconsin sports teams. A lot of what I do is Packers related, but I'll sprinkle in a few of the other teams as well. And then every Monday and Friday, I have an article over at Cheesehead TV, which, as I'm sure you can imagine, is a Packers based site. And then I started the YouTube channel just as another avenue to get my content out there. I'll usually post maybe 2-3 videos a week, and a lot of them are just based on the articles that I've written. And again, just another avenue for folks to try to consume that content.
Hey, that's a great idea. Because YouTube is great. I recently started my YouTube channel about a year ago. I'm just a fan. I just love to talk about the Niners. And it's great to interact with people within the fan base, but also people who are on the opposing fan base. And that's something that I didn't even really think that would happen. I never thought that was really possible. But through the internet, through YouTube, hey, everything is possible, man. Gotta ask, how long have you been a Packers fan?
My entire life. So I born and raised, live about still to this day about 12 minutes from the stadium.
Oh, wow.
So Green Bay, if you haven't been here, it's only about 100,000 people. Like, wow. Packers football, that's when it comes to stuff to do, like, that's it. So people who live here and just in the state in general, they eat, sleep, breathe, Packers. And if you've ever seen like the aerial shots when the Packers are on like a Sunday, Monday night game, it's literally in the middle of a neighborhood. And so like one of the, core memories that I have as a kid that I think really helped build that fandom is my grandparents lived 2 blocks away from Lambeau, still do. And so every Sunday they park cars, because if you live within probably a 6-7 mile block radius, you park cars on Sunday. So when I was a kid, that's what I would do on Sundays. I'd go over there to help. Probably didn't do much helping, but just to be in that atmosphere around the fans and stuff like that, I think just at an early age, just kind of ingrained it. And then as you get older, you fall in love with the X's and O's aspect of football and everything that goes with it. But again, just being from the area, it's a way of life here.
And Packers, the Green Bay Packers, it's a unique situation as far as the ownership, right? The fans own the team. Is that correct?
Yep. I actually just bought a share myself here when they did the most recent stock sale, and I think it's still going on actually.
That's
So yeah,
amazing.
it's a unique. It's definitely unique. Obviously, only team in any professional sport, but it's a good way to raise funds because what Green Bay's doing is they're going to use the money from those stock sales to redo, I think, parts of Lambeau and add on to the Titletown district, things like that. And what I like about that is it gives you the option. Like if you don't, if you want to buy a stock certificate to say you're an owner
Yeah.
and have your funds go to help causes that they're going to put the money towards, you can. And if you don't have to. So I think that's it's obviously a unique way to go about it, but it's cool to have the stock certificate as well. I'm not going to lie.
Absolutely. I mean, like you said, that is a unique situation. Only, the one professional football team that you can say, hey, I own stock in that company. Like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool. So I can imagine on Saturday night, everything is closed in the town except for Lambeau Field, and that's where the bright lights will be. Is that correct?
Yep, Lambeau Field and the bars. The bars will be open.
And the bars, okay. Of course. This show is nothing without the fans in the chat. I love to have a lively, chat. I love for them to be involved. So I gotta say what's good to them. Looks like first we have Dan Castillo. What's good? Thanks for tuning in to the stream, man. I know you're excited for some 49ers Packers football, man. Thank you for being a part of this live. We have Jesus in the building. What's good? He says, saludos. Will Rodgers attack secondary for penalties in a cold, windy day? What do you think, Paul? You think he'll try to do that?
I do think we're going to see a lot of Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball. I mean, as you guys know, the 49ers defensive front is incredibly stout, and I think running the ball is going to be difficult. But if there's an area of that defense, especially when you have Davante Adams that Green Bay can try to attack and try to find success with, I think it's going to be those cornerbacks. So I do expect, even though it's going to be frigid, Aaron Rodgers is used to it. The team has been practicing in this weather the last couple of weeks now. So they're used to it. I don't think that the cold weather is going to change how they go about their business in terms of run versus pass. And I think that the Niners cornerbacks are a part of that defense that the Aaron Rodgers and particularly Davante Adams can try to take advantage of.
Yeah, absolutely. The secondary is one of, I guess you could say, a weak link in this defense. The defensive line is stout, definitely gets after the quarterback. The linebackers can run sideline to sideline. They can tackle well. I think they're pretty good in coverage. So our corners, we're definitely, we're not the best that we want to be at that position right now. Fortunately, though, Josh Norman is not starting. He's not a starting cornerback. So I think already this elevates the defense. Ambry Thomas, the rookie we drafted this year, he's been playing the last 6 games, and I think his confidence is continuing to grow with each game. But yeah, there's no doubt. Aaron Rodgers versus a 49ers secondary, that will be a key matchup, and the 49ers need to do a great job in not having defensive pass interference penalties, defensive holding. That's something that we had in the first matchup, and that's definitely something that the 49ers will need to improve. Now, speaking of that week 3 matchup, have the Packers gotten better or healthier since that game?
I would say the biggest, along the way, the defense has been up and down. There was a 3-week stretch against Kyler Murray, Pat Mahomes, and Russell Wilson where they looked dominant. They held those 3 quarterbacks to just over 600 passing yards. They had 4 interceptions, just 1 touchdown given up, and they allowed 34 total points. However, the last few weeks last month, I should say, they've been trending downward, the defensive side of the ball. But I would say the offense is definitely playing at a higher level. Now, I'll add the caveat. If we look back at the 2020 Green Bay Packers offense, that was first in points per game, first by DVOA. They haven't hit that level this season, and now we're into the playoffs. So are they ever going to hit that level? Perhaps not. And 2 of the issues that they've had in comparison is they've gotten off to slow starts. Ironically, the 49ers game was, I think, the one time this season where they actually started really quick, jumped out to that 17-0 lead. But in terms of first quarter points scored, the Packers ranked 25th. So that opening script has not had the same effect that it did in 2019 and 2020. The other area where they've been not as efficient as they were last year's in the red zone. And part of that could be the injuries along the offensive line. They've been without Robert Tonyan. He was injured in the Arizona game, season-ending injury, their tight end. Randall Cobb has been out since the Seattle game. So that's played into it, the offensive line. But those are the two big differences between this year's offense that I see in last year's. However, they have Aaron Rodgers, who can erase a number of mistakes. So his last 7 games of the season, 72% completion percentage, 20 touchdowns, no interceptions, a 124.4 passer rating. So when we look back to where the Packers were at the beginning of the season to where they are now, no, they're not at the 2020 level offensively, but they have certainly improved. And we've seen players stepping up along the way. Tight end Josiah DeGuara has become more of a factor in the passing game. Allen Lazard at receiver as well. And Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, one of the better running back duos in football. Those two are humming along in terms of not just carrying the ball, but as pass catchers as well.
Yeah, when I was going over the Packers stats, I was surprised to see that Dillon, I believe he led the team in carries. And I mean, that's a big man, 6 even, 250 running straight at you. Honestly, he concerns me more than Aaron Jones, honestly. The 49ers run defense has struggled, I would say, like the first 6 weeks of the year. But since Javon Kinlaw got hurt, Eric Armstead, we moved him inside to play next to DJ Jones. I think that's really elevated this run defense. And I think that's definitely going to be a huge component in this game is who wins at the point of attack, who wins at the line of scrimmage. And the 49ers have done a really good job in limiting running backs. I think the last time we allowed a 100-yard rusher, I think was Jonathan Taylor with the Indianapolis Colts. So we've done a really good job. We've been really stout in that area. We just have to keep it up. We're definitely going to have a tough task ahead of us with the Green Bay Packers and their dual running backs. I would say when I look back at the Week 3 game that we had, Elijah Mitchell, I know you've heard of him. Yep. he didn't play. He didn't play in that game. And our starting running back was Trey Sermon. And let's be real. Trey Sermon, hey, he's a solid back, but Shanahan does not trust him. Shanahan trusts in Debo and Mitchell. Mitchell will be ready for this game. Debo played in a Week 3 game, but he wasn't used the way he's used now. Like he's used to carry the ball easily 6 to 8 times in the game. And we also had some players that were out that will be playing, like Dre Greenlaw, linebacker. He just came back 2 weeks ago. He's been looking pretty good. So I'm looking forward to the game. There's going to be some differences. And also the pass rush. I think the pass rush is greatly improved. And, of course, you got Nick Bosa, right? Should have been first team All-Pro, but we'll get into that later. But it's the surrounding pieces. It's Armstead. It's Jones. It's Arden Key, Samson. Like we have a lot of players. DJ Jones, I don't know if I mentioned him, but we got a lot of players. We can go 6 to 8 deep, maybe even 9 deep in the defensive front. So it'll be interesting to see if the Packers offensive line can protect Rodgers. Have they done a pretty good job in protecting Rodgers?
Yeah, they have. I mean, given all the injuries, David Bakhtiari didn't take his first snaps until Week 18 against Detroit. Billy Turner's been out the last month or so. Elton Jenkins starting. He's been Green Bay's starting left guard. He was the starting left tackle with Bakhtiari out. He suffered an ACL injury. Josh Myers has been out since Week 6. Their Packers starting center. He just came back against the Detroit game. So at one point they were down to one Week 1 starter, right guard, rookie Royce Newman, a 4th-round draft pick, as the only healthy player who was in his original position from Week 1. But Adam Stenavich is the Packers offensive line coach, and LaFleur gets credit as well, being the head coach. The players obviously deserve the most credit. They're the ones on the field playing. But the job that just that group in general has done, because there's a lot of teams out there that would lose 4 of their 5 preferred starters and be an absolute mess. Yeah. Again, having Aaron Rodgers at the line of scrimmage controlling things certainly helps. I'm not going to deny that. But the job that the offensive line has done has been spectacular this season. And there's game planning that goes around that. If Yosh Nijman, he was a left tackle Week 3 last time the Packers and 49ers met. And watching that game, there was a lot of tight end help over on that side, rightfully so, because he was matched up with Bosa. So it's not the same as when Bakhtiari's out there. There's game planning that has to take place. Aaron Rodgers, on average, got the ball out of his hands. It was either the quickest of his career or very close to that. So again, there was help provided to, just because he knew he didn't necessarily have that luxury to hang in the pocket with those backups in there. But in general, overall, the offensive line did a tremendous job in pass protection, and as run blockers, they were effective enough. We didn't see the same big runs as we did a season ago with Aaron Jones, but they were effective enough. Green Bay, I think, still averaged 4.3, 4.4 yards per carry. And just to go back to what you had mentioned earlier with Jones and Dillon, it's obviously easy to look at the Packers offense and see Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, think of the passing attack. And I talked about that with one of the viewer questions as well, how I think that's going to be something they really try to, a part of this Niners defense that they try to exploit. But the run game, having that balance is incredibly important. Matt LaFleur has been incredibly successful as a head coach, but in the few instances where we have seen the Packers lose, one of the common threads is that the run game is abandoned, whether that's Green Bay falling behind super early and they get pass heavy, whether it's the defense slowing down the run game. And even though the passing game may be their path to success in this game, if they become one-dimensional and Eric Armstead, Nick Bosa, everyone else along that defensive front can pin their ears back, that's going to be trouble for the Green Bay Packers. So there's Aaron Rodgers or Devontae Adams, but having a good run-pass balance is still important. And when I say balance, that's still 65-35%. It is Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
It's never going to be 50-50.
Yeah, and Shanahan's balance is like, I would say maybe 60-40, and 60 being running the ball, because that's definitely what we want to do. And that's something I noticed in our week 3 matchup, that Aaron Rodgers did get rid of the ball really quick, and that kind of negates a pass rush. But we'll see, we'll see what happens in this game. I got to respond to Jack's comment. What's good? He says, hey, Jay and Paul, how are you been doing? Question for Paul. The field on the frozen tundra is always ugly. Is it like that on purpose? They don't cover the field like during the week?
No, they do. It's even heated underneath. But I think in terms of the color, I mean, there's only so much you can do when it's snowing. And yeah. I mean, right now it's 1 degree outside, and it's been that cold for about a week now. So I think that's just the weather, the elements taking its toll on the grass. But no, it's heated underneath. They cover it. But I think to some extent, just given the environment here, there's only so much that can be done.
Wow. Have you been to a Packers game when it's, below freezing?
Yes, I have. I was at one a couple years ago when they played the Vikings, and I was actually at it was when San Francisco came here in the playoffs. I think it was 2012, 2013.
With Kaepernick, yeah.
Yep. So that game, I think, was with the wind chill -20, -25. It was cold.
Wow.
It was cold, but you just layer up, and Lambeau Field still has the bleachers, so you are packed in there like sardines. So that helps as well with 70,000 of your closest friends. But yeah, it's you definitely have to prepare for it.
Hey, absolutely. You are very brave. Because in California, it doesn't. The coldest it gets here, it might get 30, but that's like, it's pretty rare. Like usually it's like 40 in the morning. So yeah, I couldn't imagine below 0 degrees. That's crazy. We have JR Meadows in the building. What's good? He's giving us an early prediction of the game. He's got the Niners winning 27-13. We also have Joseph Mahoney in the building. What's good? He's also providing a score prediction. He's got the Niners winning 27-24. All right, man. We shall see what happens. What are your thoughts on Rodgers being 0-3 against the 49ers in the preseason?
I think looking back at those games, those are obviously very, very talented San Francisco teams that he was up against. So I think that's just, the biggest thing that I'm going to attribute it to. And when we look back at a number of Rodgers' playoff losses, if he's not playing at a, incredibly high level, what the issues that the Packers have had is having someone else, whether it's on the defensive side of the ball, the run game, just someone else, something else, step up to help the team. In that regard. So I feel like that's kind of been a common, not just like I said, in playing the 49ers, but just in general in Green Bay's playoff losses, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But in looking back at those games, I'm not someone who think that has any sort of bearing on this week's game. I don't even think week 3 does. If it was a week ago, these two teams played 2 weeks ago, I think we could look at it more closely. But even this season, so much has changed. I mean, we've already talked about it for both teams, how things are different. So I think if I had to chalk it up to something, it's just, hey, they ran into some really good 49ers teams.
Yeah, and as you talked about earlier, making this team one-dimensional will definitely be a key factor for this 49ers defense. Making Aaron Rodgers just strictly depend on his right arm, and that'll definitely help, this pass rush. And hopefully Nick Bosa will be available. We will talk about the injuries for both teams in a little bit, but there's no doubt if Bosa is out there, it definitely bolsters his defense. And if he's not, man, it would be what a shame because he's a hell of a player that deserves to play on the the highest level in the the most pressure packed time, and that's the playoffs. So, but speaking of great players, we got to talk about the man in the middle of this Packers defense, linebacker. You guys signed him a free agent deal, a 1-year deal. He's making a measly, and I say measly because NFL standards, but $2 million. Talk about all pro linebacker Devondre Campbell. I mean, he leads the team with 146 tackles. He's having a hell of a year.
He is. He's been a game changer, hands down. Goes without saying, the best value signing in free agency this offseason. And what's interesting is that the inside linebacker position is one that the Green Bay Packers, whether it's free agency, whether it's the draft, they just do not value it. They're not going to spend typically a top 100 pick on that position. They're not going to go spend dollars in free agency. And even Devondre Campbell's proof of that, just with the deal that he signed. So one thing, just looking ahead to the offseason, I'm going to be curious because he is a free agent. Packers have a tight salary cap situation. Not that they can't bring him back, but are they going to? But I'm just wondering if that changes the front office's mindset of, okay, this is a much more important position than maybe the value we've put on it. And in looking back at the 2019 meetup between Green Bay and San Francisco in the NFC Championship game, one of the big differences is going to be Campbell. At that time, it was Blake Martinez, and compared to Blake, Devondre's just been night and day difference in that regard. But yeah, he was second in PFF's grade among linebackers. Of those 146 tackles you mentioned, he only had 4 missed ones the entire season. That's incredible. Wow. And in coverage, he allowed only 6.8 yards per catch. He's just always around the football. And he's going to play a incredibly important role this week. One with that Niners run game. But I wrote an article over at Dairyland Express just how important tackling for the Packers is going to be this week. And I know it's important every week for every team, obviously, but the Jimmy Garoppolo, in terms of average depth of target, he ranks 30th in the NFL. It's not like he's pushing the ball downfield, but in terms of explosive pass plays, the Niners rank first. It's because they have Debo, Kittle, Ayuk, who are all just yak monsters. And so keeping everything in front, all 11 guys going to the football, wrapping up, it's going to be so important. And having Devondre Campbell in the middle of the defense, again, that's another part of the field that Jimmy focuses heavily on when he's targeting players. He's going to play such an important role for this Green Bay Packers team. And again, he's been such a massive upgrade for this defense.
Does Campbell usually guard the tight end position?
Yep. I would expect to see him on Kittle at times, whether it's man, whether it's zone. He's gonna be around the football. He's just always happens to find his way there.
And huge shout out to everyone that's in the chat right now. If you guys are enjoying the 49ers versus Packers preview with myself and Paul, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you subscribe. And if you like what you're hearing from Paul, check him out on social media. He's got Twitter. He's got YouTube. All his social media links are in the description. Make sure you check him out. Show him some love. But yeah, Kittle versus Campbell, that should be an interesting matchup. Kittle really He's been used more as a blocker. Most recently in the last few games, his numbers don't really pop out in the receiving category. And also, I think part of it is due to the emergence of Jawan Jennings, a wide receiver we drafted, I believe, 2 or 3 years ago, 7th round pick. He's been on the practice squad. He's been on the active roster. He didn't really have a role week 3 against the Packers. And now Jawan Jennings, he's playing lights out. He's making the most out of his opportunity. I believe 23 out of his 27 catches have either been for a first down or a touchdown. And also 3 of his catches last week against the Cowboys were all on 3rd down. So we're moving the chains. Jimmy G and Jennings definitely have developed a rapport. And I hope that Kittle can get some more targets, because Kittle has shown he can be one of the best receiving tight ends in the NFL. And that'd be an interesting matchup. Campbell versus Kittle. Who do you have your money on?
When talking about Kittle or Deebo Samuel, I don't go into the game with the expectation that the Packers are going to stop them. Each of those players is going to find success. They're just that good. The goal is to contain them and that they just don't absolutely take the game over. So I think they're both going to win some matchups. I know it's kind of a cop-out answer, but that is what I believe.
No, I agree. Because it depends on if Jimmy can get Kittle the ball. It depends on a lot of factors depend on it. And when you have great players, and he's having a hell of a season. He's an all-pro for a reason. I don't think Kittle will dominate him, but I'm sure there'll be some wins and some losses, just like life. That's just how it is.
and we've seen the Packers safeties matched up on tight ends too, so I don't think it'll be a one of one where it's strictly Campbell. But again, he's the man in the middle of that defense. He's going to be a key player.
Absolutely. Got to read Joseph's comment. Jimmy looks to the left and he looks to the right. Will the Packers defense be concerned when Jimmy does not hand the ball off to a running back?
I think ultimately that's the end goal that you want. I mean, the running attack for the 49ers is their strength, and the run defense for this Packers team is one of their weaknesses. So I think that's going to be the goal, and try to force Jimmy, especially with the bad shoulder, the bad thumb, to have to utilize the boundaries as well and take away those easy underneath over the middle opportunities. And again, Kyle Shanahan's so good at getting Deebo and Kittle and everyone in space that, as I mentioned earlier, they're all so good at picking up those yards after the catch.
Hey, absolutely. And ideally, I think most Niner fans can, speak to this. If Jimmy throws the ball, I would say between 18 to 22 times. I think that means the running game is consistent. That means the running game is moving the chains. And the Packers, I think they allow about 4.7 yards per carry.
Yep.
So I think, Mitchell and Deebo, they will be ready on Saturday. And I think that's going to be the key to the game for the Niners. Run the ball, limit Aaron Rodgers' offensive possessions. And I think that's got to be the formula. I think that's what it's got to be. It'll be interesting to see if we can make that happen. NYCE says, "What's going on, Jay? What's good?" He says, "Hello, Paul. I canceled the DJing gig I had this Saturday just to watch my Niners play. Super hype. That's dedication.
That
man.
is. I love it.
Jesus says, "Will the 49ers be faked in special teams?" He asked this because I don't remember the last time a team gave up 2 fake punts that ended up being one went for a touchdown. I think that was against Seattle. It was the opening drive of the game. Seattle had the ball. We got a 3 and out. They did a fake punt, ran into the end zone. And then last week against Dallas, we gave up, I believe, a first down through fake punts. Now, it's funny. Special teams. I know the Packers, aren't they the worst team in the NFL in regards to special teams?
Yeah, they're bad. I mean, pick a metric, pick a ranking. They're either last or very close to it, but you don't need rankings to tell you that. You just need your eyeballs. I mean, pick an aspect of special teams, the blocking on kicks, the snap, the hold, the kick itself, shanked punts, Amari Rodgers returning punts. He's bobbled a few. He's indecisive with the ball in his hands. the kick return unit, holding calls, penalties. I mean, you name it, at some point it's got wrong this season. And I'm pretty sure there was a 2-game stretch against Chicago and Baltimore where the Packers had more special teams errors than some teams will have in an entire season.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I will say, and the bar's low, but in recent weeks they have been better. And by better, not dominant by any means. They've just been competent. And really, that's all we're hoping for. This unit doesn't have to do anything special. Just don't give up those negative momentum shifting, game changing type of plays that unfortunately they have a number of times this season. But no, you're absolutely right. The special teams unit has struggled, and in the playoffs, every team's weaknesses are magnified. Obstacles or issues that you're able to overcome during the regular season, they can bite you and be the reason that you're sent home in the playoffs. I know Packers Nation in general, I mean, every time that ball's in the air on a kickoff, on a punt, everyone's holding their breath a little bit.
Hey, over here, the faithful can definitely relate to that. We're at the point now where I'm just like, just don't lose the game. Don't fumble.
Exactly. Just confidence.
Yeah, just hey, fair catch the ball. That's it. Just don't lose the game. That's what it's come down to us. I mean, Robbie Gould, our place kicker, he's pretty good. You know, he's a veteran, been in the league 15 plus years. I'm confident in Robbie Gould. Our punter's kind of been hit or miss this year. And then I think it's just like the special teams punt coverage has been a question mark. And our special teams coordinator, he's been with the team, I believe, since Shanahan's been with the team, so about 5 years. But I wouldn't be surprised if we look in a different direction this offseason because they haven't really met expectations. We have to talk about the 49ers and Packers injury report because there are some notable names for both teams on that report. And let me pull this up. Can you see that? Do I need to blow it up a little bit more?
Nope, that's perfect.
That's perfect. Okay. So let's start off with the Packers injury report. So first we have doubtful wide receiver MVS. He's got a back injury. And if a player is doubtful, that's pretty much like 99% they're not going to play. Is that, do you think that'll be the case for MVS?
Yeah, I'm not expecting him to be out there. And he's the Packers, he's their deep threat. They have, Devontae Adams can obviously make a big play, but nobody on the team can do what MVS does. He's got 4.37 speed. He can stretch the field, and he missed some time. I think actually following the first time the Packers and Niners met, he was out for a number of weeks with I think it was a hamstring injury. And the Packers' big play ability during that stretch, it took a hit because of what he can do. But in addition to him making the big plays, when you have that type of speed, you're going to draw the attention of the safeties. And so that helps create for the other Packers pass catchers. And one thing about MVS and just his overall development, he's become much more than just the home run big play guy. We've seen him more impactful on intermediate routes. He's actually been used in the slot this season, not a ton, but he's been used in the slot. And from there, he's been incredibly efficient as well. So if he can't play, which I'm just going to be under the assumption that he isn't, it's obviously a big hit to the Packers' deep ball ability. But again, he helps create for others as well.
Who do you think would step up in his absence? Do you have another deep threat?
Not to that degree. Al Lazard, he's been playing really, really well over the last month or so of the season. He's just super reliable. And then Randall Cobb is going to be back as well. And prior to his injury, Cobb didn't have a ton of targets by any means. I think 38 through the first 10, 11 games of the season. But that relationship, that rapport that he has with Aaron Rodgers, it's almost unmatched, almost, because of Devontae Adams. But Cobb was relied on heavily on third downs. Of his 38 targets, 22 of them, I believe, came on third or fourth down. And then in the red zone as well. He had only 4 red zone receptions, but all of them went for touchdowns. So when Cobb's out there, look for him as Rodgers' go-to guy on third downs, fourth downs, if they get in those situations and in the red zone.
And Cobb, he usually lines up in the slot, right?
Yep.
Okay. That should be an interesting matchup. We have Kaywon Williams, who I feel is one of the best, nickel slot corners in the NFL. So that will be an intriguing matchup. I see here also that cornerback Jair Alexander, he's questionable with the shoulder. What are the odds of him playing on Saturday?
So Alexander hasn't played since the Steelers game week 4.
Wow.
He made a tackle behind the line of scrimmage and suffered an injury to his AC joint, I believe. So he's been back at practice now for 3-4 weeks. But if he does play, this will be his first game in a long time. And it's tough to know where these guys are at from our vantage point outside of the organization. If I had to guess, I do expect him to be out there. And with that, it's going to create some decisions for the Green Bay Packers in terms of their alignment in the secondary. And it's a good problem to have because Rasul Douglas, who they picked off Arizona's practice squad, has been just a playmaker for Green Bay. And then their first-round rookie, Eric Stokes, super fast cornerback. He's been phenomenal this year as well. I think a 52% completion rate. So they're going to have to find a way to get those three on the field if they can. Jair does have the ability to play in the slot, so that's a potential option. That's been a discussion among the Packers fan base. Is he going to be on the boundaries? Is he going to be on the slot? I think it's going to be very matchup specific. Who are they going up against? Where are those receivers lining up? Is the better receiver in the slot? Is the better receiver out wide? And I think that's where you're going to find Jair Alexander. So I don't think it's going to be one or the other. It's just going to kind of depend on what's going on throughout the course of the game.
Okay. And in tackle Bakhtiari, he's recovering from a torn ACL. He played against the Lions, right? 2 weeks ago?
He did. He was out there for 27 snaps.
Okay.
However, since then, he's only participated in 3 practices.
Wow.
So this one's really tough to get a feel on. There's one hand you could look at it negatively and go, following the game, his first game back in over a year, a game in which he pulled himself out, only played 27 snaps. I think that was more so they had a very strict count that they wanted to hit. And then once they hit that count, regardless of whether it's the middle of the drive or not, he was just done. But being in only 3 practices, you could look at, maybe his knee didn't respond well. Maybe something along those lines. I don't want to speculate. Or you could look at it as, he's a 4-time All-Pro. In that perfect world, do you want him on the practice field? Of course. But if there's someone who can go without that practice, it's David Bakhtiari is one of them. Yeah. So I'll be honest. I guess I would lean towards him starting, and who knows, maybe there's a little gamesmanship going on here, but that's a tough one. I'll be honest. I'm not sure how to really gauge that just because he has practiced so little.
Yeah, I'm going to expect him to play. I mean, he played 2 weeks ago. And as you mentioned, he's an all-pro caliber player. He's a veteran. He doesn't really need to practice. And this is a playoff game. I expect him to be out there for sure. Got to give a shout out and a hot diggity dog to Blue True. Appreciate that $10 super chat. Blue True says, hey, at Jay and the Bay and at Paul, thanks for the stream. Here's a 10 for a 49er win on Saturday. And speaking of the game being on Saturday, that does give players one less day to recover from certain injuries. And speaking of injuries, there's no other injury bigger than one of the most feared pass rushers in the NFL, in Nichky Bosa. Man, he took I don't know if you saw the game, but he took a mean shot, friendly fire from DJ Jones. And it looked nasty. And Nick Bosa left the game. And he gave a thumbs up, but I knew there was no way he's going to come back in the game. It just looked like he had a concussion, and unfortunately, that's what came to pass. Bosa has a concussion. He was a full participant in practice today. But with concussions, you never know, because he could wake up on Friday and have migraines or whatever, or even Saturday morning. So hoping for the best, but there's no doubt this defense is at another level when Nick Bosa is in there, and the amount of attention he requires from opposing offensive line. Sometimes he gets double, triple teamed, and that allows one-on-one matchups for the other defensive linemen. And as I mentioned, Arden Key, Samson, DJ Jones, Armstead, Samson. We have a lot of guys who can really attack the quarterback, and Bosa really helps the other guys get one-on-one matchups, and they're able to eat, basically. Cornerback Ambry Thomas, he's really come along the last 6 weeks in the season. He's battling a knee bruise, which he suffered in last week's game. I don't know if he practiced today fully, but if he can be out there, he's going to be out there. I think he if he's out there, he will be the starting cornerback opposite of Emmanuel Mosley. And I had a stat about Ambry Thomas the last game against the Dallas Cowboys. Let me see if I can pull it up. But Dallas Cowboys, they have some pretty good receivers on their end. Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb. Yep. Yeah, CeeDee Lamb, he only had one catch last week. So, Ambry Thomas did a pretty good job. Okay, so this is what Ambry Thomas did in coverage against the Cowboys. 55 coverage snaps, 2 catches allowed, and 24 yards receiving allowed, and 1 pass breakup. Now, granted, Devontae Adams, he's a little bit better. he's a hell of a player, no doubt. But Ambry Thomas has been playing well, and also I like Emmanuel Mosley on Devontae Adams. But I know it's just like with Kittle and Campbell. I know Adams is going to have his way some snaps, some plays, and hopefully we can have some plays go our way on the defensive side of the ball. Defensive lineman Jordan Willis, he has a high ankle sprain. I'm not expecting him to play, but if he does, that would be another added element to the pass rush. But I would be surprised if he plays.
One other thing I wanted to add, if you don't mind, Jay. Billy Turner, Packers right tackle, hasn't played in about a month. He's going to be active, so I expect him to be back at right tackle. And then 2 names to watch on Friday. Whitney Merciless, edge rusher, and Zadarius Smith, edge rusher. They're still both on IR, but they've been back at practice. And so if the Packers are going to activate them, that'll take place Friday. And that would be just a huge, huge boost to the Packers pass rush. Preston Smith and Rashawn Gary have been 2 of the most productive edge rushers in football. But the depth of that unit, because obviously that's one of the more heavily rotated positions. They can't be on the field the entire game. But the depth behind them was a question mark. But if you get Whitney Merciless back, who Green Bay signed about halfway through the season from Houston. He was a situational pass rusher, obvious passing situations, third downs. And then Zadarius Smith, I mean, he has like 160 plus pressures the last 2 seasons. He was an all-pro, second team all-pro last year. So obviously that would be a huge upgrade. And I wouldn't expect, either player to slide in and play, 50 plus snaps. But if they can each give 20 to 30, it's definitely going to be a big boost for that Packers defensive front.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And as you mentioned, the defensive lineman is a position where, you got to rotate your guys in and out. It's great to have 5, 8, 9, 10 defensive linemen that you can rotate in and out to get a consistent pass rush. And that's something it's definitely a great thing to have if you have it. But I hope they do play. I want to see the Packers at full strength, and I want my Niners to be at full strength, and I hope they do play. And I'm looking forward to that matchup. Got to get to some super chats. We got Kelts Chronicles in the building. What's good? Kelts Chronicles says Super Bowl number 6 coming back to the Bay. 27 years, long overdue. Faithful rise up. Yay! All right, man. Well, speak it into existence, man. I feel you. Jag as well. Appreciate that donation. He says, gotta go, but I'm glad to see 2 young men having a civil discussion about their teams. Great role models for other streamers. 24 to 23 Niners. Hey, I like that, man. Appreciate the kind words.
Yes, thank you.
Appreciate that. So talked about the injury report. Let's see. Let me respond to a few comments. I don't want to get too far behind. Well, I'm too late. Let's see. So David says DeMeco Ryans will be ready for the quick slants passing attack. We have a good outside cornerbacks this time, and that's dependent on if Ambry Thomas can play. If he can play, I think it'll definitely help bolster the secondary. Now, if Ambry can't play, we're gonna have to rely on Josh Norman. I hope not. It'd probably either be Josh Norman or Dante Johnson, and they are backups for a reason. Hopefully, Ambry Thomas will be able to play. Roberto, what's good? He says, "Where them boys at?" LOL. Bang bang Niner game. Tuesday's next. Yeah, that Cowboys Niners game, man, that was fierce. I think it was even more fierce between the 2 fan bases, man. We got Jake Jackson in the building. What's good? He says Niner fans travel extremely well, but Green Bay is exclusively a football town. Yep. Will probably be 90% Packers fans on Sunday night, and especially that weather. I mean, I love the Niners. I don't know if I'd want to go in that weather. I'd rather, sit at home, watch on TV, man. That's some that's some extreme weather, no doubt about it. Now talking about the 49ers offense, as a Packers fan, who on the 49ers offense concerns you the most?
I'm going to cheat a little, lump together Debo and Elijah Mitchell, the run game. As I mentioned, it's been probably the biggest weakness on this Packers team, and it's going to come down to, as I talked about earlier, tackling and also gap responsibilities. The Packer edge rushers, they need to be so disciplined. And again, as you mentioned, Elijah Mitchell wasn't out there week 3. Debo wasn't in the backfield at that time, but looking back at that game, they were very sound with that, and they're going to need to be able to do that again. Any sort of over pursuing is going to create run lanes. I found one stat on Pro Football Focus. Elijah Mitchell actually ranks 4th among all running backs in yards after contact average. It's tough to bring down, just like everyone else on this team. And he forced 41 missed tackles in only 11 games, and that was the 11th most. So again, he's tough to bring down. Those gap responsibilities, being disciplined, and trying not to let all of Kyle Shanahan's pre-snap eye candy, take away from your responsibilities on the play. And it's going to take all 11 to the ball. And if the Niners can find success on the ground, and again, I expect them to some degree, that just allows them to extend drives. It keeps Aaron Rodgers on the sidelines, which is obviously the opposite of what the Green Bay Packers want and what their recipe for success is going to be. So in general, it's just Elijah Mitchell, and I'll throw Debo in there as well, just because of the role he's played. But that Niners rushing attack, just because that still is a weakness for Green Bay.
Absolutely. And thinking about the Packers, of course, Aaron Rodgers concerns me the most, but besides him, it would probably be Davante Adams. Due to our, deficiencies in the secondary, that's not a strong point on this team. I love to say a secondary's best friend is a pass rush, and if we get after Rodgers, it'll definitely, make his night more uncomfortable. And Davante Adams, he had a pretty good game week 3 against us. Granted, teams are a little bit different, but I believe he had like 12 catches, 100 yards, 1 touchdown catch. So, he is an all-pro superstar wide receiver. And it'd be interesting to see what DeMeco Ryans does, to lessen his impact on the game. NYCE has an idea. He says DeMeco has to disguise the plays before and after the snap. Week 3, the defense came out in their coverage and never changed. They need to be able to switch things up pre-snap and after the snap. Now, DeMeco Ryans, it's been great to see him progress as a defensive coordinator. DeMeco Ryans, first came here as, I believe, a defensive quality control coach. Then he went to linebackers coach, and this is the first year he's been a defensive coordinator. And it's funny. Fans 1 week will say, "Oh, get rid of him. You never should have promoted him." But for the majority of the year, DeMeco Ryans has been doing pretty well. And I would say adjusting. If a team does A, you do B, and you switch it up as the game goes along. You never want to be stagnant in the coverage that you're showing to opposing teams. And DeMeco Ryans, he's interviewing for head coaching opportunities. For my selfish reasons, I hope he stays with the Niners another year. But that just shows what people think of DeMeco Ryans and how he's got this defense playing. I believe we're technically top 5 defense in a lot of the categories, even with the issues we have in the secondary. So looking forward to that matchup, LaFleur versus DeMeco Ryans. Definitely looking forward to that. Job, what's good? He says, good luck to both y'all this weekend. Rooting for the 49ers and Bengals because my team is out. And I believe Job is a Colts fan. So, yeah. Thanks for tuning into the stream, though. John says, DeMeco switching Armstead inside definitely helped in our run defense as well. I completely agree. I think Armstead is better inside as opposed to being a rush defensive end. Now, going to the other side of the ball, who most concerns you on the 49ers defense?
Got to go Nick Bosa, right? I mean, that that pass rush, because when we've seen, I already talked about the run game and how if Green Bay gets one-dimensional, that's caused issues in the past at times. And then also pressure on Aaron Rodgers. Last year in particular, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did such a good job of that. And if the 49ers are able to generate that pressure via Bosa, Armstead, or whoever it's going to come from, obviously that's going to have a major impact on the game. On the flip side, if Green Bay is able to stick with that quick passing game, get the ball out, or if Green Bay is able to give Rodgers 2.5, 3.5 seconds back there in the pocket, again, going back to the matchup with the cornerbacks, I think Rodgers is going to be able to find some success going to Devontae Adams against the Niners cornerback. So that's going to be, like most games, it's going to be won and lost in the trenches. And if Green Bay can slow Bosa, slow that pass rush, I like what Rodgers can do in the passing game. If they can get after Rodgers, it's going to be tough sledding for that Packers offense.
Hey, I completely agree. And I'm going to be, all ears will be to the internet and the websites. Hopefully Bosa will be active and ready to go for Saturday, because he's definitely going to be, he's the most important player on the defense. I mean, there's no doubt about that. The pressure he can bring, and it forces offensive linemen to sometimes even double or triple up on him. So as far as the Packers defense, before I looked at the stats, I would not have even thought of Campbell at the middle linebacker position, but he's having an all-pro year. I think it'll be interesting to see, because what's great about Shanahan is not only that he's a great play caller, great play designer, but it just seems like he's able to find out the weaknesses of the defense, and usually the defense's best players don't have a major impact on the game. Look at Micah Parsons last week. Hey, where I'm from, the bullies bully the bullies. So and he didn't really have much of an impact. The Niners, we go up against Aaron Donald twice a year, and he's all-time great, but usually he doesn't take over a game. But for this question, though, I'm just going to go with Devondre Campbell. He's the all-pro defensive player. And as you mentioned, Gary, I think he leads the team in sacks with 9.5. So does he – question about Gary. Does he usually line up on the offense's left side or right side?
He'll move around. He'll line up in the middle, too, as a interior defender. So Gary, they'll move around. That role for the last 2 years has been kind of belonged to Zadarius Smith. But with Z being out for the entire season, basically, except for a few snaps week 1, Gary's assumed that role, and he'll move around. He'll line up inside, all of that.
Okay. All right. And if I'm totally honest, that would be a weakness on this offensive line, is the right side. Tom Compton, he's a backup. The only reason he's in there is because Mike McGlinchey got hurt earlier on in the year, season-ending injury. But Tom Compton has been playing pretty well in McGlinchey's absence. Daniel Brunskill, sometimes he reminds me of a sled on a high school football field. He just gets pushed around. But hey, we got here. We got to the divisional round of the playoffs, going up against the Packers. So they've been keeping up their end of the bargain, and hopefully they can do that, against the Packers. Got to say what's up to some people in the chat. Redder, what's good? Thanks for tuning into the stream. We also have KD, what's good? Hopefully you guys' nights are going well on a Thursday night. Now let's get into how about this? Let's get into the Packers offensive X factor, but you can't say Aaron Rodgers.
All right, deal. So for me, it's going to be, I'm going to choose Josh Myers. He's the Packers center. So we talked about the run game, the importance of the trenches. I'm not going to get into that. But the reason that he's my X factor, he's a rookie. He was the Packers' second-round pick, and he has about 4.5 games of NFL experience. He missed one of the first 5 games. He injured his knee week 6 against the Bears on the opening drive, and he hasn't played until week 18 against Detroit, where I think he had 25-30 snaps. So he's my X factor, again, because of that 49ers defensive front, the importance of establishing the run, protecting Rodgers. But Green Bay's had young guys on the offensive line this season because of injuries. Royce Newman has been the starting right guard since week 1. He's a rookie as well. John Runyon, who's going to be the starting left guard, he's only in his second season. But those two have been able to go through the entire season and take their lumps. You know what I mean? Josh Myers, he's getting thrown back into it, and we haven't. I guess I should throw this out there. We don't know what the official offensive line configuration is going to be. Lucas Patrick, who's a veteran, has been the center in his absence. Week 18, Josh Myers got the start there. Patrick was at right guard. So that's what I'm thinking is going to happen. And if Myers is out there, he's my X factor just because of that importance. But again, he has about 4.5 games of experience, less than 300 career NFL snaps, and he's in the playoffs going up against a very good defensive front. He doesn't have the luxury of going through an entire regular season to get out some of those, the ups and downs that just come with being a rookie. And he has shown a lot of promise, a lot of potential. I absolutely love him and think the Green Bay Packers found their center for the foreseeable future. But again, he's a young player, and that's certainly something to keep our eyes on.
Wow. I would love to say one player on offense could be the X factor. Could go with Debo, could go with Mitchell. I'm going to go with Jimmy G, the man who touches the ball on every snap. Jimmy's got to play better. Jimmy's been a roller coaster this year. Sometimes he looks like, hey, this guy could be a top 12 quarterback. This guy could be a franchise quarterback. And other times it's like, who is this guy? What do you see out there, Jimmy? What are you doing? And unfortunately, it's every game. He either the first key point last week against Dallas, first drive, go down the field. Hey, everything's good. Jimmy's looking good. He's making his accurate reads. He's throwing the ball accurately on point. And then we go to the second half. It's like, I don't know who this guy is. So for Jimmy, he's got to, throw the ball no more, hopefully, than 22 times. Because that means the running game is effective, but Jimmy's got to make his reads. Jimmy has to have a clean pocket to throw from. Obviously, if he's under duress, that's not a recipe for success for a quarterback. But he's got to make his reads. Don't throw the interception, please. Please, no interceptions. I think Kelts Chronicles had a stat for Jimmy. He says, the 49ers defense and run game are so good, we have overcome Jimmy only producing 599 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions in 5 playoff games. So, hey, Jimmy, take care of the football. Take care of the football, no fumbles, no interceptions. And Jimmy G, he was not on the injury report, but, he's got the bad thumb that he's working through. He also had a shoulder sprain, or at least that's what they're saying, last week against Dallas. So he's banged up, but, hey, everyone's banged up now at this time of the year. That hopefully we get a full 4-quarter performance of good Jimmy. That's what I'm hoping for. If he gives me, give me 15 of 22, 175 yards passing, 2 touchdown passes, I'll take that. I'll take that right now. But that's who's going to be my offensive X factor for the game. Now, who is your did you for some reason my mind is slipping me. Did you mention the Packers defensive X factor yet?
Nope, not yet.
Not yet. Okay, so let's get into that now. Who is your Packers defensive X factor?
I'm going to go with safety Darnell Savage.
Okay.
So reason being, in the Joe Barry defense, he plays with light boxes. The MO of Joe Barry is to take away the pass first. And with that, the safeties play an important role against the run. Now, it's going to be interesting this week to see if he deviates a little bit away from that approach, just because the Niners are so run heavy. But Savage, Adrian Amos as well, at the safety position, they play key roles in the run game. And then, as I had mentioned earlier, just with Jimmy, he likes to attack the middle of the field. Ayuk, Samuel, Kittle, their ability to pick up yards after the catch. Savage is going to be in coverage on those guys throughout the game. Tackling is going to be incredibly important, and that has been a weakness of Savage's during his career. Adrian Amos is, when you think of a safety, it's Adrian Amos. He puts the word safe in safety. He's just Mr. Steady Eddie, Mr. Reliable. Savage, you get more of that up and down play. He has some plays that make you go wow, and some others where you're kind of scratching your head a little bit. So just given the safety's role in the run game, what they're going to have to do in coverage, again, where he struggled this season at times against those pass catchers that the Niners have and that yak ability and the importance of tackling, he's going to be my X factor for the Packers defense.
Do you anticipate the Packers will put, 8 or 9 guys in the box to slow down run?
I'll be honest, I've gone back and forth on that because that would be such a tendency breaker for them. Part of me thinks that it's going to be a lot of we're going to do what got us here type of stuff. And typically that's been lighter boxes. And with that, it's going to come down to those fundamentals, tackling and gap integrity. I think we're going to see, more of it than what we have this season. But I have to say, I'll probably be surprised if that's the entire defensive approach that they took.
Okay. That'd be interesting to see how they try.
I'm curious as well, honestly.
Yeah. That'd be interesting to see how they slow down the run. Gotta say, what's good to Bird Gang 31. We got Travis Bird and Livy's World. Thank you all for tuning in to the stream tonight. Hopefully your Thursday night is going well. Man, my 49ers defensive X factor, man, there's so many players to choose from. If I had to say, I'm not going to say Bosa. It's too easy. Could say Fred Warner. He's having an excellent year.
Aaron Rodgers always talks highly of Fred Warner.
Yeah, man. Fred Warner, he did suffer an injury last week in the game. It was a low ankle sprain, but he said he's going to play in this game. And Fred Warner is a difference maker. And okay, I'm just going to say the linebacking core. That's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say the linebacking core. And the reason I say that is because week 3, Dre Greenlaw was out, and he is a difference maker when he's on this field. Azeez Al-Shaair, he is a young, up-and-coming linebacker. Hopefully he'll be in red and gold for years to come. He's a thumper. And I feel like this defense is best when all 3 linebackers are healthy. Granted, we've only seen them be healthy in maybe 2 or 3 games, maybe 2 games this whole year. Dre Greenlaw, he's only played, this would only be like his 3rd game this year. So that's been basically the reason why. But when all 3 linebackers are on the field, they're all great against the run. They can all run sideline to sideline. And it'll be interesting to see, how DeMeco Ryans uses them to confuse Rodgers. I don't even know if you can confuse Rodgers at this stage in his career, but this defense is much better when all 3 linebackers are healthy and all 3 of them are roaming the field. So I'm just going to say the linebacking core will be the defensive X factor. So now it's the moment we've all been waiting for. We talked about the X factors. We talked about the injury report. So who wins on Sunday and why?
So of the 4 teams that the Packers could have played this round, the Niners, I think, pose the most matchup problems for Green Bay, just with their style of play and what the Packers' weaknesses are. But got to take the Green Bay Packers in this one. I think ultimately coming off the bye week, being at home, and the discrepancy at quarterbacks between Rodgers and Garoppolo, I think it's going to be, that's ultimately going to be what decides this game. I think the Niners are going to find success on the ground. Debo, Kittle, they're going to find their yards after the catch. Like I said, I don't have any sort of expectation that they're going to stop them. It's just don't let them absolutely wreck the game and let Aaron Rodgers and that offense do what they do. So I'm going to take the Packers. It's going to be a close one. It's going to be a hard-fought one, but I'll go 30-27.
30-27 Packers. All right. Jake Jackson, I like his comment. He says, I think we'll need Wart and Tart to follow Adams all game in double coverage. Seems like the Pack have no one else who can beat us in the passing game. I mean, Lazard, he's a pretty good receiver. MVS, he may not be available, but that could be an option. Double Adams and make someone else beat us. So that could be an option. R&R says the 49ers will win. What's good? I appreciate your comment tonight. Let's see. This game will definitely come down to, I feel, the trenches. Whoever can, establish the running game, which I think the Niners will be able to do. Our Niners run defense has been really good the last 2 months. As I mentioned, only allowed a 100-yard rusher to Jonathan Taylor. That was weeks ago. But I think the Packers will present some problems because 6 even 250 coming at you. I'm trying to remember when was the last time we played a running back who was built like his name is escaping me. What's his last name? Big running back?
AJ Dillon.
Exactly, AJ Dillon. I'm trying to remember when was the last time the Niners played a big running back like that. Because honestly, I'm more concerned about him than I am about Aaron Jones. But this Niners run defense, I mean, we went against Zeke last week, but he's way past his prime. And we limited Tony Pollard. And I really believe in this 49ers run defense. So I think we'll take away the Packers running game. I think the Packers offense will be one-dimensional on Aaron Rodgers, which probably is a good thing because Aaron Rodgers is so great. But I think we will win at the point of attack against the Green Bay Packers. We'll be able to protect Jimmy long enough where he can make accurate throws. And I believe in the stars of the show. It's going to be Mitchell and Debo. Can you guys stop them? I don't think you can. I don't think you can. And if we are able to win the time of possession, no turnovers on offense, limit Aaron Rodgers' opportunities, that's the game plan. And I think the 49ers can execute it. But like you said, it's going to be a hard-fought game. But I think it's going to be more lower scoring. I think the Niners will take this 24-20. I think the Niners will win. So we shall see what comes to fruition. Let me read a few of these comments. Cook Smoke Sports, what's good? Thanks for tuning into the stream. Says, what up, bro? Go Niners. KD says, Jay in the Bay, tell Paul to get his tissue out because the Niners are going to beat the Packers 31-24. Okay. We also have Pac-Man Sports in the house. All right. What's good? A Packers fan in the building. He says, I think he's saying his defensive X factor will be Dean Lowry. He's a defensive lineman, right?
Yep. Can I go on a little tangent about Dean Lowry?
Absolutely.
So Dean Lowry, he's the number 2 next to Kenny Clark. And the mantra in Green Bay for a few years now has been get Kenny Clark some help. Dean's typically not someone who's going to fill the stat sheet with his responsibilities. He's a space eater, occupies defenders, but he had his most productive year of his career as a pass rusher this season in terms of pressures and sacks. And when Dean's playing well, everybody benefits. What I mean by that is because he's in the middle, that allows Green Bay a little additional freedom to move Kenny Clark around more. So instead of Clark being in the A gap, taking on double teams, they can move him out towards the tackles where he gets one-on-one matchups. And Clark, he's one of the better interior defenders in football. So that's always a good thing when you get Clark one-on-one. As I mentioned, Lowry eats up space, occupies double teams. That's good for the edge rushers. That's good for the linebackers. And for a number of weeks this season, it seems like there's a play or two a game where he just decides that he's going to bull rush. And when Dean bull rushes, he just fires his way into the backfield. And as we all know, really the quickest way to destroy any play, a run, a pass, is interior pressure. And that's going to benefit the secondary. So he's not a game changer by any means, but when he's playing well, his teammates all benefit.
And that will be an intriguing matchup because I know Kenny Clark, he's pretty good at that defensive tackle position. So he'll probably be going up against, Alex Mack, our center, Brunskill at right guard. Will he line up on the offensive's left side as well? Quick question. Do you guys run a 3-4 or 4-3?
3-4.
3-4. Okay. So then he'll be lined up, head up against Alex Mack. Kenny Clark will be. So Alex Mack, he's definitely been playing better than he did at the start of the season, but that will be an interesting matchup. We'll see how that goes once kickoff starts. Hey, we've reached an hour. I appreciate you joining with me tonight and the rest of the faithful and Pac-Man Sports. Do you have a few minutes to go over some comments, or you got a jet?
No, let's do it.
All right. So we have Bleed Red and Gold. What's good? Going to be a great game. Praying for no injuries for both teams. Go Niners. Hey, I 100. I second that. Pac-Man Sports says Darnell is a good pick, though. He will have to have a good game. Okay. Blue True says Warner will be their defensive X factor. Cook Smoke Sports says Eric Armstead. Absolutely. He's been, I think this is Eric Armstead. He's been with the team for at least 7 or 8 years. I think this is definitely Eric Armstead's probably best season overall. In the 2019 season where we went to the Super Bowl, Armstead had like a 9-sack season, but I think this is definitely one of his best seasons overall, Eric Armstead. So he could make a huge impact on the game on Saturday. Bleed Red and Gold says Charles Omenwehu, the defensive end we traded from the Houston Texans this offseason. He had 1.5 sacks last week against the Cowboys. That's going to be his X factor. Okay. JB and M Sports Fanatic. What's good? Thanks for tuning in to the stream, man. Glad to hear you're doing much better, man. I'm looking forward to your stream on Saturday when you're streaming the Niners and Packers game. Jesus says DJ Jones. All right, man. DJ Jones will be right next to Eric Armstead, and they're going to try to create havoc against that Packers offensive line. NYCE says Emmanuel Mosley is his defensive X factor. All right. Yeah, I can see that. He's going to have his hands full against Devontae Adams, that's for sure. Got to ask you, Paul, who is on your Green Bay Packers Mount Rushmore of players? And you can answer this one of two ways. You can say 4 greatest players in the entirety of the franchise, or you can say 4 greatest players last 20 years, or you can do both.
So I just want to say thank you for sending me this question in advance, because on the spot, I don't know what I would have picked. So I actually, again, I cheated a little. I broke it up into 2.
Okay. Yep.
Packers have been around 102 years. And the way I tried to determine it was if I was writing 500 words on the Packers history, who would I absolutely have to mention?
Yeah.
And narrowing that down to 4 was tough. So we'll go old school, Mount Rushmore. Curly Lambeau, founder of the team. And there's some really good Packers documentaries out there in the 20s, 30s, 40s, and maybe even into the 50s. There were a few times where they could have folded. And if it wasn't for, him along with a number of other people, fundraising, investments, things like that, the Green Bay Packers may not be a team nowadays.
Wow.
And then Vince Lombardi, obvious reasons, Bart Starr, Vince's quarterback during that time. And then I'm going to go with, again, this was a tough one to fill in that 4th, but Ray Nichky. He was the Packers linebacker during those Vince Lombardi eras, just the enforcer of that defense. 1960s all-decade player, Hall of Famer, 5-time champion, 2-time Super Bowl winner, all-pro Hall of Famer. Just historically one of the best linebackers to do it. Now, more modern, on my Mount Rushmore, I have Ron Wolf, who was the Packers GM in the 90s. I know the Packers have had a lot of success over the last 30 years, but in the 70s and 80s, they were lean times for the Green Bay. They were not that good. And Ron Wolf, as general manager, helped spearhead that turnaround. He traded for Brett Favre, one of my other members of Mount Rushmore. Have Aaron Rodgers on that Mount Rushmore as well, just because he's been one of the best quarterbacks to ever do it, not just in the Packers, but in NFL history. And my 4th spot on Mount Rushmore, of a more modern Mount Rushmore, goes to Reggie White. Because back in the 70s, 80s, or even early 90s, Green Bay was a punishment for free agents or players who weren't performing well. We're going to trade you to Green Bay. Again, it's cold up here. They were a team that weren't winning. It's a town of 100,000 people. As I said, it's centered around the Packers. There's not, compared to other NFL cities out there, there's not nearly as much to do. But Reggie White, who was a free agent and at the time one of the best defenders in the game, he made the decision to come to Green Bay, was part of that Super Bowl team in '96, and just a part of that overall culture change, just changing from the struggles of the 70s and 80s to being a winning team. So Ron Wolf, Reggie White, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers are my 4 modern on Mount Rushmore.
Hey, that's a hell of a list. And Reggie White, I mean, it was really known that players did not go to Green Bay. Like free agents, they would not go there.
Nope.
And the most notable is Reggie White and then Charles Woodson. That's the 2 big ones that I can remember. So, hey, that's
Charles Woodson didn't even want to come here. I think the Packers were one of his few offers, or one that paid him the most.
Hey, you got to take care of the fam, man. The money is very important. Pac-Man Sports gives us his top 4 Mount Rushmore. He's got Lambeau, White, Favre, and Rodgers. Okay. Hey, I respect it. Let's see. So Philly Sports Talk, thanks for tuning in to the stream. What's good? John says his offensive X factor will be Jimmy G. Okay. I usually expect him to throw at least 1 pick, but we can't afford to do so against the Packers. We need a 100% clean game. Yeah. I think those established the run, and Jimmy's got to play lights out. I mean, we can't afford to give Rodgers and his offense an extra possession. We just can't afford to do that.
One other thing I just want to add quickly about the Packers defense, because I feel like I've talked about how the 49ers can cause problems for them, and they can. But even through the ups and downs of the season, there's been two things that they have been really good at: pressuring the quarterback and creating turnovers.
Okay. Yeah, that'll be – yeah. I think this 49ers offensive line has done a pretty good job in protecting the passer, especially with the injuries, with Mike McGlinchey missing at right tackle. But if you ask some Niner fans, he wasn't great at pass blocking, which he's not. He's better suited, or he's more efficient at being a run blocker, but he's still starter caliber right tackle. So, yeah, that'll be interesting to see how, because my only concerns, I would say, are Mack going up against Clark at the center, nose tackle position, and then Brunskill and Tom Compton. So basically the right side. So if they can hold their own, I think Jimmy G will have a lot of time in the pocket. Not a lot, but he'll have enough to find the open receiver.
Are you just Jimmy G and just the Niners in general? Do you think the cold's going to be an issue? I know it's a tough question to answer, but or do you think it's just going to be a part of the game for them?
I'm going to say it won't have a huge factor. Now, it depends, because Jimmy, he has the bad thumb. He's got the shoulder sprain. But it's like when the adrenaline's going, you're out there, you're not really thinking, oh, it's freezing, I shouldn't be out here. You're just thinking, hey, it's time to make plays. It's time to win the game. It's time to go to the NFC Championship. So I don't think it will play a huge factor. Now, what's interesting, it could be ball security, right? Because that ball is really, really, really cold.
Rock hard.
Yeah, so will that play a factor? That could be something. But turnovers it's in every game, in every sport. You got to take care of the football. If you give the opponent an extra opportunity to score, usually if you lose the turnover battle, you lose the game. So that's going to be paramount for the 49ers to take care of the football. Pac-Man Sports agrees with you, Paul. He says we're getting this. Okay. NYCE, appreciate the kind words, man. He says, great show. Wish everyone the best. But Jimmy G has to have a great game and lead the Niners. He's got the Niners winning 31-21. Okay. John says his defensive X factor is the defensive back group. I expect our D-line to wreak havoc, but if we can't stop Rodgers' quick, short / intermediate passes, our defensive line won't have time to reach him. And that's exactly what the Packers did in the first game this year. Rodgers was getting rid of the ball fast to negate the pass rush. So our secondary is going to have to, be stout and, be hip to hip with the receiver. So that way we can make it even more difficult for Rodgers. But knowing Rodgers, he'll throw the ball when the corner's there. It won't matter. he trusts his receivers to make plays. So it's, we'll see what gives. Dan Castillo, appreciate the kind words, man. He says, great show, guys. Let's see. David says, Golden 49ers beat the Slackers. Jimmy looks left. Jimmy looks right. And he hits Kittle. Hopefully we see more of that on Saturday, man. Pac-Man Sports says, hits Kittle in the hands and intercepted by Savage. We shall see, man. We shall see. But, man, it's been a pleasure. It's been a blast having you on, Paul. Very, very knowledgeable about your Green Bay Packers. Definitely looking forward to this game. For those that don't know you, let the people know where they can find you on Twitter, YouTube, and what they can expect from your YouTube channel. The floor is yours.
Thank you. And Jay, I just want to say I appreciate you having me on. This is an incredibly well done show. And to the Niners fans in the chat, thanks for tuning in and being kind. I do appreciate that. But you can find me on Twitter at Paul_Bretl. That's BRETL. Right for Dairyland Express and Cheesehead TV. My YouTube channel is just called Paul Bretl, so you can find it there. Like I said, I put out 2-3 videos a week, and usually it's just another form of my articles. I try to keep them somewhat short, 10, 15. Sometimes they'll go to 20 minutes. But Paul Bretl on Paul_Bretl on Twitter, Dairyland Express, Cheesehead TV. And again, appreciate you having me. I had a lot of fun.
Hey, absolutely, man. Good luck on Saturday. I hope all the players who are on your injury report play. And absolutely. The same for our team as well. Yes. Wishing your team health. And I can't wait for a kickoff. There's nothing like watching Aaron Rodgers. I know he's a Hall of Fame, one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever do it. going up against a healthy 49ers defense. Man, I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. And you have a great rest of your night, man. Enjoy your weekend, man. Appreciate you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Take care.
Take it easy. All right. So that was Paul. Man, he represents the Green Bay Packers well, very knowledgeable of the team. It sucks that someone's going to have to lose this game on Saturday, but man, I can't wait for the game. I'm counting down the hours until the game starts. Can't wait. Let's see. They got a few more comments. Let's see. NYCE says Jimmy has also played in New England area. Boston does get cold. That's true. Pac-Man Sports says this has been good when I was able to come on. Great job, guys. I love your work, Paul. Man, thanks for the kind words. I will let him know that you said that, man. Appreciate everyone contributing in the stream tonight. John says, great stream, Jay and Paul. Looking forward to a great game Saturday, man. Same here. I really can't wait. Honestly, I mean, I didn't envision us being here. Losing 4 straight games. Honestly, I was kind of surprised we even made the playoffs, man. But got to give credit to Shanahan and the players. They never gave up. They never quit. They continue to fight and continue to play the game that they love, man. And it's great that we're in this position. And I just can't wait. Thanks for the cheers, Blue True. Appreciate that. And shout out to everyone who gave a super chat donation to the channel. I appreciate that. Looks like it was Blue True, Jag, Kelts. Jag did too. And I appreciate those super comments, super chats. Hopefully everyone has a great Payday Friday. Ain't nothing better than a Payday Friday, faithful. And what you can expect from the intheBay channel, I will have a pregame live stream for the game on Saturday, and it should be at either 3 or 3:30. The thumbnail should be out. You guys can see it. And then also I will have a post-game live stream that same night on Saturday. Can't wait for the game. Can't wait for kickoff. It should be a competitive matchup. The Niners can win this game. I'm not really scared of the Packers. As long as we play our game, we're able to run the ball, limit Aaron Rodgers' opportunities, convert on third downs, keep that clock moving, and don't give up big plays. One thing we did in the first game against the Packers, we had a few defensive pass interference penalties. And let's be real, Josh Norman was starting. Dre Greenlaw wasn't there. Mitchell wasn't playing. Debo wasn't used as a running back. So a lot of things have changed. And we are the healthiest we've been all year. Hopefully Ambry Thomas, Nick Bosa are available to play. We'll definitely need them. But appreciate everyone who was in the comments tonight. Hopefully everyone has a great rest of your weekend. Let's see. Pac-Man Sports says, I'm not surprised. I picked the 49ers to take the number 1 seed before the season. Okay. Hey, man, it's been a roller coaster type of year. But I appreciate you joining in as well, Pac-Man Sports. Shout out to everyone who's in the chat. Shout out to everyone watching intheBay Facebook, intheBay YouTube, intheBay Twitter. I appreciate all the support. And thanks for watching your boy, Jay in the Bay. Appreciate everyone who's in the stream tonight. Libby's World says, great stream, Jay. Let's get it. Appreciate your continued support, Libby's World. Everyone have a great rest of your night, and I will see you guys, unless there's breaking 49ers news. If not, I will see you guys Saturday for the pregame live stream. See you then. Let's get it. Go Niners.